It's not an easy question to grapple with, because as I was studying in medical school and in universities, indeed, there are many observations in our lives and around the world that animals and creatures adapt to certain environmental challenges and develop adaptation strategies. So how can, as a Christian, balance that observation with our understanding that it was God who put us here. It was God who designed this. And I'm continuing learning the process. And I found it is really the notion of local versus universal, temporary versus eternal. That things happen in our lives, the environmental challenges, and we as human beings, we do make decisions that can positively and negatively impact our lives on a day-to-day basis. But God works on the grander scheme. He works on the creation. He works on the set us in motion. We do have choices. We can make a good choice and bad choices. So I look at the change in our environment and species, animals, as animal does have local decision, temporary decision, but yet God sets in motion in the grand scheme of things. So I think ultimately, evolution is transient local phenomenon, but yet the creation, the eternity, where God set us, that's internal, and that's the ultimate.
Just from the eye standpoint, Darwin talked about the eye giving him a headache because, how could the eye evolve in the way the Darwinian proposition, because you have to have all the components there. It's like this camera that's shooting us right here, that's filming us. All the parts have to be there. And so when you start thinking about how something like that could evolve, it all has to be there at once. The eye is not just some hole in our head that gets bigger over time. All of these parts have to be there. So as an eye surgeon, is there any special fascination with the Creator when you study the eye?
Great question, Pastor Rice. I got this question as sometimes I give lectures periodically, like the one that we give at Belmont University, that talked about science and faith. And sometimes I do get challenges by students who are studying science about, Dr. Wang, what are the evidence of existence of God? And can random mutation, evolution, create human organs as complex as the eye? And what I found is that as I study more and more about the eye, the sheer complexity, it's absolute impossibility that random mutation and random collision will evolve in that way. That it's just a mathematical improbability. That the complex design, the way that our photoreceptor accepts signals, our cornea diffract light, and our neural cortex processing our visual signals, it all points on one thing. There is no organ species may have local adaptation, but what really designed, sets in motion, is grand scheme, purposeful design. So the very complexity of science is a strongest evidence of the existence of God.
Fantastic. Dr. Wang, you'll have to come back again and we'll talk about all the miracles that are happening through all the work that you do. You're bringing, I've been at your foundation, the eyeball you call it, which is just such a great play on words, the eyeball. You'll see billboards around Nashville. It's a charity that many doctors contribute their time and effort, and you bring people from around the world that have these irreversible, on paper, irreversible conditions, and they're reversed. I think that for those watching, when you come to the place of faith, it starts this way. In the book of Hebrews, it says that without faith you can't please God. For he who comes to God must believe that he is. And this is the statement. This is the reality. Why would we go through this segment tonight and talk about something that many people would say that's just assumed? I know that God is real. I know that he's the creator. And yet for many that's a question. But yet for scientists, for philosophers, for housewives, for working people, whoever you may be, for students, people are coming back to the realization that we're on this piece of dirt in the middle of space. and it was put here not by chance. If the universe happened by chance, then why pretend that there's any such thing as purpose? But because we are here by the act of a creator, then there's got to be some reason why we're here. And there's a reason why you're here. God uses Dr. Wang to minister to people through his medical practice, but also he's a practicing Christian. He prays for people, he loves people, and he's sharing the love of Christ. Whatever your calling is, whatever God's called you to do, it's time for you to realize that you have been actually made to worship Him. And as you worship Him, as you discover things, as scientists like Kepler and others that said, I feel like I'm thinking God's thoughts after Him. I'm actually coming into a reality of what God is and who He is by studying His creation. But the order of creation doesn't just need to be observed, it can be received. Christ is the wisdom. Christ is the answer. And that's what we're going to talk about as we close after this song. That no matter what your situation is, the gospel is the answer. And so as we listen to Shane and Kristen one more time singing, I was made to worship, realize that He's made you to worship Him. And whatever your hand has been given to do, use it as an act and as a tool to worship Him with. Can we welcome Shane and Kristen back as they sing, "Was Made to Worship." And thank you, Dr. Wang.